Hey guys, Ft.TheJordude here, coming at you from Axis Gaming, and today I'm going to be doing a deck tech on the new Freeze Mage that has been updated with the release of the Goblins vs. Gnomes expansion pack. So with Freeze Mage, pretty much before Freeze Mage wasn't as popular because everyone was playing Hunter, but with the new change to Flare, making it two costs instead of one, no Hunter is playing Flare anymore, especially with all the new cards. And because they're not playing Flare anymore, you don't have to worry about Ice Block or Ice Barrier getting completely wrecked. And because of that, you are pretty much completely safe when you have Ice Block on the board. Freeze Mage pretty much wins every other matchup except for Control Warrior. Control Warrior, you probably have like a 5% win rate, but against the popular decks right now, such as Shaman, Druid, mechs, like Mage, Hunters. Hunters are more mid-range now, so yeah, and then pretty much most of the decks are pretty much mid-range tempo-orientated decks, which this deck completely wrecks. Because either control decks or mid-range decks, they focus on building up a strong board. But with Freeze Mage, you don't really care what your opponent does. You pretty much just stall them out until you could get the Alexstrasza or get enough burn damage to just win the game. So yeah, let's go over the cards and I'll explain my card choices. And yeah, so first off, you got the 2 Ice Lances to go with your 2 Frost Bolts. Of course, this is pretty standard in Freeze Mage. Just got that really strong direct damage burst and pretty low mana. It's also got low mana to give yourself fireballs with Archmage. So yep, those are pretty standard. Then you got your Blood Mage Thalnos, of course, is pretty much it's a perfect loot hoarder. You don't have to save this card for the spell damage. Of course, it is nice to finish it off, but sometimes you just want to play it down just so you could get the card draw, just so you could get the cycle. We have 2 Doomsayers because your opponents are building up their board, and then if they don't have a silence or some kind of direct way of killing it, then your Doomsayer will clear the board and you can set up for cards like Alexstrasza or your Antonidas. Doomsayers, sometimes I actually just play it down just so I could pretty much heal 7 health because they have to clear the Doomsayer. If they don't, they just lose the board. But most of the time I like to combo Doomsayers with, most of the time, Frost Nova, sometimes Cold and Cold or Blizzard if it's later in the game. But usually if it's turn 5 and they have like 3 or 4 minions, I play the Doomsayer Frost Nova. And then the new addition to the deck is Explosive Sheep. This card is quite powerful because you could trigger its Death Rattle with your own hero power. So if you have 4 mana left, you could just plop down the Explosive Sheep, hero power it off, and then clear the board for 2. For 2 damage. So Explosive Sheep is really good against those very aggressive decks, or if you need to clear off the board, maybe you have weakened the minions down with Blizzard or Flame Strike and you just need to finish it off, so that's what Explosive Sheep is for. Next off, we got Mad Scientist, one of the best minions in the game. Just plop it. I actually tried a mill for this. I'll talk about the mulligans a bit later, but the Mad Scientist is a card you pretty much want to open up with. You don't want to open up with your secrets, so you play this down. If it gets its Death Rattle off, you get pretty much 3 mana for free. You get thin out your deck as well, so it's really strong, Mad Scientist for sure. Then we have 2 Arcane Intellects just for some card draw. You need some card draw. I'm not playing like Leper Gnomes or Novice Engineers anymore. I took that out for the Explosive Sheets. So Arcane Intellects for that card draw because you need to draw some more stall, your burn damage, and like your finishers. Next off, we got the 2 Frost Novas. Of course, is board freeze, so it's very powerful with your Doomslayers, or if you need a stall turn. Turn 10, you can also play with Antonidas. Then we got the 4 secrets, 2 Ice Barriers and 2 Ice Blocks, pretty standard. Ice Barriers heal 8, Ice Blocks win the game, live another turn so you can win the game pretty much. Pretty explanatory. 1 Cone of Cold because it's nice to fit in the curve because sometimes on turn 4 you might not want to use your Fireball or your Polymorph. So Cone of Cold on turn 4 is actually pretty good. Most of the times they will have like 2 or 3 minions out, or if they have a bit more, you just target the right ones. So if they don't place it properly as well. So the Cone of Cold is really good just for the stall. Weakening the minions down so you could like Blizzard to clear them, or you could Freeze, Doomsayer, just a whole bunch of stuff. 2 fireballs because you need them to burn down your opponent to finish the game. Very rarely will I use them to clear a minion. If I do use it to clear a minion, I feel like I'm going to lose the game. So I usually save it for face, because most of the time if they have a minion on the board, I'll consider it, but then if the damage is not significant, then I will just leave the minion on the board, wait to freeze it up, and then clear it some other way. 1 polymorph. You need 1 polymorph at least just to clear those really hard to kill minions, such as Ragnaros. Ragnaros is really powerful against this deck because it doesn't need to attack. Its hero power just pretty much hits you in the face 8 every turn. So I do save the polymorph for specifically Ragnaros or something really strong. Or sometimes if they have 1 taunt up and I have an Alexstrasza up, I'll polymorph it and hit face with that. So yeah. And we got the 2 Blizzard, 2 very powerful. It could clear boards, freeze the entire boards, weaken the minions up. So pretty much a lot of the times I would use the Blizzard. The minions get all weak, and then you Flame Strike to finish it off next turn. And then we play 2 Flame Strikes. I like to have 2 because more board clear is good, especially with a meta where everyone's trying to build up the board. Flame Strikes just gets a lot of value in. 1 Antonidas, especially with all the spare parts right now, you probably will get like quite a few spare parts from your opponent, like from mechanical yetis and stuff. So you'll have those 1 cost spells. You can also use it with your ice lands, frost bolts. If you freeze your opponents and they can't deal with it, you could just keep getting fireballs for days. So Antonidas is there. Alexstrasza, you do really want to pull the Alexstrasza around like your turns. It's like if you top deck it turn 9, then of course it's going to be pretty good. But if you already have it in your hand earlier on in the game, what you want to do is, like, it depends if you have the coin or not, but the turn before you want to play Alexstrasza, you would want to try freeze the board, play the Doomsayer to clear a board, and then play the Alexstrasza. Another thing you want to do is make sure you have like an ice block on your board, because playing the Alexstrasza takes up your entire turn. So if you don't have any backup, then you might die. So yeah, just some things to consider. But the Alexstrasza, I barely ever use it on myself. I only have to use it on myself if I'm kind of ahead in the game and I just need that extra health to stay alive from like hero powers and stuff. And then yeah, most of the time I would try to use it on your opponent to get them low, and then you would just secret up, and then you don't die, then you just finish the game your next turn. And then finally we played a 1 Pyroblast. I still like the Pyroblast because sometimes people don't expect it, they think they're safe, and then boom, they just get shot in the face for 10. So it's pretty strong card still. And sometimes you just need the extra reach if you can't finish them off with your fireballs, your frostbolts. I actually win quite a few games just finishing them off with a Pyroblast. And yeah, that's pretty much the deck list. From the GVG release, really the only change was the explosive sheet, taking out like extra card draws. But basically what you want to do is just keep freezing the board, stall the game out long, get your Alexstrasza out, and then burn them down for game. Basically I'm pulling this deck out now is because of the current meta situation, since it is more mid-range control types, which is a board demanding type of meta. This deck pretty much wrecks all of them except for Control Warrior. For mulligans, you pretty much want to mulligan card draw, so I would keep like Arcane Intellects. You want your Mad Scientists. Yeah, that's pretty much all I'm looking for when I'm trying to mill. Like, even if I get frostballs and stuff, I might try to throw it out if it's a control matchup. If it's something like hunting or inspecting a Undertaker, you might want to keep the frostball. But yeah, that's pretty much all to it. So we should try to get some sample games in for you guys and see how it works.